10 News begins with breaking news.
That breaking news, a CHP officer just hit by a car on the 94 by a driver who took off. The officer sitting on the side of the freeway with a leg injury.
Our 10 News breaking news tracker is live at a second location now where they found the car that hit him. Paul Anderegg.
Here on the eastbound 94 freeway on the Lemon Grove off-ramp, you see this car with its hood up. That's a car that struck a CHP vehicle on the eastbound 94 right about Massachusetts Avenue. Let's send you over to some video that we shot a little earlier on that. We actually heard the call go out of that officer calling for assistance, saying he had been struck by a car, which was then speeding away from the scene with its hood up. Now, other officers in the area were able to catch up to that car, and you can see it here stopped on the off-ramp of Lemon Grove. They took that driver into custody. We're hearing they're going to be conducting a DUI evaluation. Now, the ambulance was going to be transporting that officer with that leg injury. It also looked like the driver's side door of his car was peeled back when he was hit. We believe he's one of the what they call a COZEEP unit, which is one of the units they use on the side of the freeway when you see like a construction area helping to provide traffic control. So we're going to stay on this scene. We'll bring more updates on 10 News this morning. Back to you.
We'll check back for any developments. Thank you, Paul Anderegg. And this comes just a day after a CHP officer was gunned down during a traffic stop in Riverside. We have learned from family members that officer was doing his dream job. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco shows how investigators are still piecing together the tragedy.
It's been more than 24 hours and this overpass is still an active crime scene. Tonight, it is still unknown why the gunman opened fire and what prompted the traffic stop that turned into a firefight during the height of rush hour. Bystanders captured the gun battle.
There is shooting. There is a shooting right now.
Dozens of rounds exchanged between law enforcement and the suspect. Bullets hitting the car of commuters trapped in the chaos.
It hit straight in the middle of my windshield, missing my head and my two children that were in the back seat.
Jennifer Montezuma says the bullets narrowly missed her and her two young sons. She says she was shocked, frozen in fear. A retired Marine was behind her and jumped out to help.
Heard the kids screaming. That's what motivated. That's to get the kids out of the car. Put them behind the engine block of her car for protection.
The gun battle lasted roughly 10 minutes during the height of rush hour Monday evening. It started when Officer Andre Moye pulled over Aaron Luther, an ex-con. We still don't know the reason for the stop, but the officer decided to impound Luther's truck. While he was filling out paperwork, police say Luther grabbed a rifle and started shooting. Moye was hit but called for backup. He was airlifted to a hospital where he died. Two other CHP officers suffered gunshots to the legs but are expected to recover. Monday night, hundreds of law enforcement took part in a solemn procession for their fallen officer. Moye's stepmom says becoming a motorcycle cop was her son's dream job.
We'll never get another one like him. He was really great. And I'm not just saying it because I know him, I love him. It's because he was a great person.
Moye had been with the department for 3 years. Luther had a long, violent criminal past that included serving 10 years in prison for attempted murder. In Riverside, Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Back here at home tonight, fire rips through a home in City Heights, burning dangerously close to neighbors. And our 10 News reporter Matt Boone spoke to neighbors who were forced to evacuate.
Yeah, guys, when firefighters arrived on scene, this house behind me was mostly entirely engulfed, so their main priority at that point was stopping the spread of the fire to some of these neighboring units, which are just a few feet away.
The smoke spewed through the neighborhood along Euclid Avenue. Neighbors say they heard glass breaking and loud popping noises before they saw the fire.
That's it. The house is gonna blow and then the fire is gonna come to me.
This woman lives right next door and said she started to panic when she saw the flames so close.
I have my phone in my hand and then they tell me call 911. I couldn't. I didn't know what to do.
Firefighters got the call around 6:20. The fire was located inside a small bungalow unit only accessible through an alley. Still, they attacked quickly, stopping the fire from spreading to neighboring units. Firefighters say no one was injured, but as of this evening, they'd been unable to locate the people who'd been living inside.
As for the cause of the fire, the Metro Arson Strike Team is investigating. Reporting in City Heights, Matt Boone, 10 News.
We have some breaking news out of Ramona tonight. A hiker came across a body on the peak of Iron Mountain. That is east of State Route 67. CAL FIRE says the body was discovered just before 8 o'clock tonight. It's unclear how the person died. Crews are working to recover that body. The suspected Poway synagogue shooter should not have been allowed to buy the gun prosecutors say that he used in the attack. State officials confirm with 10 News that John Ernest did not have the valid hunting license needed to buy the weapon at 19 years old. Otherwise, the age limit is 21. It's unclear where the system failed. An employee at the store that sold Ernest the firearm says they did everything properly. We reached out to the State Department of Justice for clarification on how Ernest got the gun. We'll let you know when we hear back.
News surveillance video shows the hours and minutes leading up to the horrifying mass shooting on a street lined with restaurants and bars in Dayton, Ohio. These videos show gunman Connor Betts with his sister and a friend on the street and in a parking garage near the area where the massacre took place. Another video shows Betts after he separated from his sister and changed into body armor. Just after 1 a.m., he opened fire, shooting 26 people, killing 9, including his sister. Investigators say it's not clear if he meant to shoot her.
Some are saying absolutely not. He was not intentional. Some say no, it had to be. I would say it's inconclusive.
Betts' friend, who is charged with buying some of the items used in the attack, is due in court tomorrow.
We have new information on the guards who were supposed to be watching Jeffrey Epstein while he was in jail. The guards are suspected of falsifying log entries to show that they were checking on inmates in his unit every half hour when they actually weren't. Surveillance video reviewed after Epstein's suicide showed guards never made some of the checks noted in the log. Guards found Epstein hanging from a bedsheet in his cell over the weekend.
The case against Congressman Duncan Hunter will not be heard until next year. Today, a judge pushed back his trial date to January 14th. This after Hunter's lawyers failed to get his case dismissed. Hunter was indicted on charges that he used $250,000 of campaign contributions on vacations and living expenses. Retired Congressman Duncan Hunter Sr. defended his son.
So when we were attacked on 9/11, he was working right down here, and he walked across the street and joined the Marines and went and met the enemy. Fought them 3 times in Afghanistan and Iraq. He's a tough guy, and but he's continuing to do his job.
Congressman Hunter's wife pleaded guilty to her role in the case. She will be sentenced in December, a month before her husband goes to trial. She will likely be called to testify.
We have new information on a crash in Spring Valley that sent a wanted parolee to the hospital. That man is identified as 37-year-old David Hernandez. He was wanted for violating the terms of his parole. Now, he was driving a stolen car this afternoon when deputies tried to pull him over, but he sped away. A short chase ended in a 4-car crash. Hernandez was arrested and loaded into that ambulance, as you saw. 3 others were taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
And turning now to our weather as we take a live look outside tonight, meteorologist Angelica Campos joining us, tracking the heat and the high temperatures across our county.
That's right, Kim. It's going to get hot out there, and already today some places made it well into the 90s. We are looking at a heat advisory in effect all the way through 9 p.m. on Thursday. It'll begin at 11 a.m. and this area is highlighted in orange. Can expect temperatures from 90 to up to 102 degrees. In the deserts is an excessive heat warning, also in effect from 11 a.m. Wednesday through 9 p.m. on Thursday, with temperatures between 112 to 118. I'll break it all down. I'll show you what to expect around the county.
Angelica, thank you. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer is being fined for campaign finance violations. Faulconer was fined $4,000 for failing to disclose 7 contributions in a timely manner. In a statement, he said it was an administrative error, but, quote, "the buck stops with me." 3 city council candidates were also fined for campaign finance violations.
And new tonight, a proposal to omit Jewish history from a state-approved course on ethics studies is raising alarms with politicians and parents. They tell 10 News reporter Travis Rice ignoring the history of the Jewish struggle amounts to anti-Semitism.
Well, critics of the curriculum say that the Holocaust will still be taught in history class. However, given the discrimination that Jewish people have faced for quite a while, they don't understand why they're left out on a course on discrimination. It's a question about inclusion in the classroom.
We are very concerned.
California's ethnic studies curriculum is only a rough draft in its lesson plans on oppressed and discriminated communities, but some feel there's a major omission.
In the glossary where it goes over manifestations of bias and bigotry, it actually doesn't include anti-Semitism, while it includes a bunch of other forms of bias, so that's very concerning.
The state's first high school ethnic studies curriculum lists African Americans, Arab Americans, Asians, Latinos, and Native Americans as marginalized groups. However, Kelsey Greenberg Young with the Anti-Defamation League says, what about us on behalf of Jewish people?
Well, we have hate crimes constantly, but we had a huge hate crime in our own community here with people being targeted for being Jewish. So to omit Jews as a people and to omit Jews being targeted by anti-Semitism is very hurtful and also very problematic when you're trying to actually expand the minds of these young students.
Questions are swirling why the state-funded group that put together the plan would provide lessons on Islamophobia but leave out anti-Semitism, especially after shootings like Poway in Pittsburgh. In a statement on the California Department of Education's website, they write, students that become more engaged in school through courses like ethnic studies are more likely to graduate and feel more personally empowered.
We're confident they will. We hope they will.
Those not recognized as marginalized in this proposal believe the state will change its list, adding that they wouldn't be speaking up if they didn't feel excluded already.
Anti-Semitism hasn't gone away. It's on the rise, and so we need to be focusing on challenging the bias and bigotry that are affecting all identities, not just Jews, but all identities. And so to leave out one or leave it just in history class is inaccurate.
The various groups speaking out against this document are urging people to go comment about this document online. This is the email where you can email the state officials that put this together. Again, this will all potentially be taught to high school kids, so it is fairly important that it is inclusive for everyone. Live in the Alert Center, Travis Rice, 10 News.